Hello, it's Wayne Gorman. Welcome back to the vault. Little man's there this time. I just want to pick up on a video I uploaded not long ago on disclaimers, and I quoted The Furious Method by Tyson Fury, how, in my opinion, I see it as on the first page, he has a disclaimer. And I see that as relatively weak, if I'm being honest, when it comes to helping others with their mental health. Now, I've not read the book from front to back, but I thought I'd do a part 2 because it's irritated me a little bit. I've just had a little scan through a couple of the pages and it gets worse. I don't know why I expected better when I already said in my previous video that you can't be trusting anything that's going to follow on from that book if you've got a disclaimer at the beginning. However, I'll just give you a few things. You have to bear with me a minute because I haven't bookmarked it. And as you know, none of my videos are scripted, so I'll stumble my words and go around the houses. But yeah, so let's have a look. Where was I just looking? So what have I looked at here? I've just seen something on OCD actually. And it's not correct. Okay, that's the point. So at the end of the day, if somebody writes a book and they don't want parts of it criticised, then you should have wrote a better book. It's that simple. So that's not me having a go. That's just me pointing out things that aren't going to be helpful to other people. So there's a lot of stuff at the beginning about Wilder and his rematch and how he's a distant relative of Bartley Gorman. Ironically, my second name's Gorman. Maybe I'm a relative, I don't know. Yeah, he was a redhead as well, wasn't he, Bartley Gorman? So who knows, maybe I'm related to him somewhere down the line. However, let's have a look at what we're here for, and that is to look at points I've just picked up in this book. So just to reiterate, it's The Furious Method by Tyson Fury, about how he's such a hero. Now I'm going to pick up on a couple of things. One is OCD when I find it, if I can find it. So I've just seen the word there. So, okay, on page 24, and it begins on 23 actually. So on page 23, I've known something was wrong with me my whole life. So I'm assuming this is Tyson Fury speaking about himself. Growing up with my family, I'd often feel a loneliness even when I was with other people. Okay, well, that is called being self-absorbed. So I felt left behind. So in 2016, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Okay, well, I'm going to do a video on that. Not just yet. However, I will do a video on it. I'm previously known as manic depression. So, you know, if you listen to Jimi Hendrix, I'm sure manic depression's getting me down. You know, you might be into all that. He's quite good, Jimmy, but anyway, previously known as manic depression and obsessive compulsive disorder. So Tyson Fury's been to the doctor. This is what I've been talking about. And you go there and someone says, you have OCD, you have obsessive compulsive disorder. And Tyson Fury states on page 24 of his book, and it was a massive relief to finally hear that there was something wrong with me. Now, I'll tell you now, Mr. Fury, that I can prove to you that there's nothing wrong with you, and there's everything wrong with whoever gave you that diagnosis. And the only thing that's wrong with you, my friend, is that you're suffering with low self-esteem. Because if somebody has said to you that you have an obsessive compulsive disorder, go over to my channel, watch the video on OCD, where I explain where it comes from, and maybe you'll realise that actually you don't have OCD at all. You're suffering with, by your own admission, your mental health. However, the bit that's missing is the low self-esteem and the doubt, because that's where OCD is born from. So anyway, it was a massive relief to realise, it was a massive relief to finally hear there was something wrong with me. So somebody else is telling you what you are, right? Now, that means you don't know your own mind. You know, that's the case. If you don't know your own mind, then somebody else can tell you your own mind. Now, if it fits with your ideas, when somebody else says to you, you have OCD, there's something wrong with you, right? There's nothing wrong with you, you know? But hearing that, this is how mental health works. There's a short-term relief in the way of surrender in the individual's mind because they've labelled something. That's all it is. Now I've got a label, right, for whatever it is that I thought was going on. I knew there wasn't something quite right, and someone's labelled it. Now that label only gives temporary relief for one reason, and that is because at that moment in time, you are no longer doubting, right? So in that moment, when somebody says this is what it is, you don't doubt. And so you feel a relief because you are a doubter in nature. You doubt day in, day out. That's why you have developed these patterns, which people call obsessive compulsive disorder. By your own admission, you say that you have it. In fact, you do it. You don't have it at all, Mr. Fury. So I tell you what, why don't you pay my mortgage off and I'll come over to your house in Morecambe, right? Because you only live up the road from me. I'm in North Wales, pal. And I'll sit down and I'll explain to you why all this is incorrect. I'll get my whiteboard out, lick my pens and go through it with you. And you'll have revelations, right? And it'll be real help, real reward, real understanding about what's going on. None of this that's in your book, mate, where it's kind of like just tittering around and, you know, oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Oh, yeah, maybe this, maybe that. This is absolute nonsense, mate. You know what I mean? Anyway, so if you've ever seen the Jack Nicholson film As Good As It Gets, where the character he plays can't bear to stand on the cracks of the pavement or sidewalks for our American friends, you have been introduced to the weird world of OCD. There's nothing weird about it, right? When someone says something's weird, yeah, it means that they're using that word to describe something they don't understand. So again, it's in there, isn't it? You know, you don't understand, right? So that's how low self-esteem works. That's how doubting works. There is no understanding. There is no clear comprehension. You know, you haven't got your best thinking cap on. You're not quite sure how things work. And so therefore you use words like weird, yeah, to describe things. There's nothing weird about it, right? So obsessive compulsive disorder is then in brackets in your book, my friend, and there are 4 types of OCD. Who told you that? There isn't 4 types of OCD at all. Now, whoever came up with this framework, I don't know whether it's the NHS or some doctor somewhere, Dr. Schfinkel, you know what I mean, whoever. I mean, they're just coming up with stuff now. They just make stuff up on the back end of it. It's absolute nonsense. Sorry, that's my email going on my own work phone there. You might have heard that. But anyway, the 4 types of OCD, there's only one, and that is low self-esteem, right? Doubting. That's how an obsession and a compulsion and a disorder is born, right? The 4 that you're talking about, you're saying, I have a thing about tidiness. I covered that in my last video before I'd even read this in your book, right? And you've got to think about tidiness. You like to tidy up. You want to tidy up. You want your house to be tidy. And if you don't do it, it bugs you, and that's the key. Now, that is perfectionism, and that comes from low self-esteem, which reinforces what I'm saying. I'll do a video on perfectionism, not a problem, and I'll go through it all when I get my whiteboard set up. I've got to buy a little stand to put it on and get it from under the stairs. I've been ill and there's a lot of stuff in the way, so too tired to do that today. But anyway, at the minute, I'm going through your book. I'm mildly irritated by some of the things you're saying, given that you're stating later on in your book that you've become an unofficial advocate for mental health or something like that, words to that effect, and you're very proud of it. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I wouldn't be proud of this book, right, if I'd wrote it. I don't know where your pride comes from about the material that I've seen so far in this. Don't get me wrong, I've not read it from front to back, and there might be some good stuff in it. But listen, an ambassador for mental health, heavyweight champion of the world, putting a book out. It's going to influence a lot of people. They're going to read this book and they're going to take it as gospel, even though you've got your disclaimer at the start. They're going to be infatuated by what you have achieved. Yeah, you've got a bit of money. You know, at the end of the day, there's only one type of wealth, right? And we all know what that is. And it ain't the old Yankee dollar, is it? So, yeah, I'm going to wrap up for now because I can't find this other stuff in your book. But at the end of the day, right, let's be clear about something here. That you're not an ambassador for mental health. And at the end of the day, you know, this could be damaging to people, reading this material, going through this book here. These are the sorts of things that need to be stopped. People being able to publish books like this, influential figures in life. And you know what? I don't think you've even done it intentionally. I think you fall into the category of someone that actually believes what they're saying is true. But I can prove it's not. So, OCD, you've said here that you have it. OCD, I'm saying there are 4 types of OCD. In my case, I have a thing about tidiness. Well, maybe you do, but you haven't got OCD. I felt vulnerable as a child, low self-esteem. When I experienced my first ever panic attack, that's anxiety. That's born from low self-esteem. Dangers, ever since I was in my early teens, so to become a heavyweight champion. Yep, you got a goal, you got something to look forward to. Again, I must. Low self-esteem, putting on yourself to be something all the time. And then I don't think there's much else to go into in this. So I know that bipolar disorder, manic highs, and then slumps will never leave me of their own accord. I mean, that's again someone saying I haven't got any control over the way that I think and feel, which isn't true. So a victim mentality, which is born from low self-esteem. And so all these mental illnesses can flourish as a result of that. You've dragged yourself out of a pit of despair. Good for you. I commend that one, very much so. Supported by your loved ones, great. Again, good that you've got a nice supporting network and family around you. Kudos to that. Having here with the purpose, develop resilience, achieving my goals. So there are ways to get through your darkest days. Okay? Well, the ways are, yeah, talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about, right? And not talk to somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about. That's how you manage to get through. So I'm going to leave it there for now anyway, because, yeah, a little bit irritated by what I've just read. But the Furious method, well, it's a method, yeah, but I wouldn't recommend it. So up to nearly 15 minutes now in this video, a little bit of a rant, but there you go. That's how passionate I am about helping people. If you want this book, you can have mine, it's free. See you later.